Hey guys, welcome back to Anonymous SP Diary. And I just wanted to come in really quickly and pat myself on the back for removing the 3P. And it has been a journey over the last few years as I started to learn more about law of assumption. Because when I first met my SP, I didn't know anything about, like I was 10 years deep into law of attraction, but not law of assumption. And when we first broke up due to my own old story that he was reflecting, that's when I discovered law of assumption. So through that, I ended up getting him back. So I'll do a separate video on that, how I ended up getting him back. But when we first met, there was a 3P in the picture that had been in the picture like when we met, right? Because he thought that let's say this, I attracted the version of him that wanted multiple girlfriends, 2 girlfriends. And I found that out later after we started dating. And I know that that is what I created from my old story of not being chosen, being abandoned, not being enough, right? So I understood all that after I jumped into the law of assumption world. With that being said, that 3P was a pain in my ass, right? Like I think we were mutually a pain in each other's ass, just because she had presented herself as being open to polygamy and all that with him, but I really believe deep down inside she thought that wouldn't come to be. And I told him right up front, like, oh yeah, I'm not into that. But me being confident, I was like, yeah, well, obviously you guys, like, that's not your person if you're even still dating. And like, that's my approach to polygamy. Like, and to each his own, but that's just my thought when it comes to polygamy. So anyhow, I was like, I'm in the picture now, and I want you and I always get what I want. So that's what it is. But she was, constantly there. And I realized it was because I was always thinking of her. And if I really was honest, if I went back through all my relationships, like I had 2 very serious long-term relationships, and then even like from elementary school, I can remember that feeling of not being chosen. Even though I would get the guy I wanted, but like it always was kind of like a, sometimes the guy that I wanted was not like who I didn't get him outright, if that makes sense, right? So, anyhow, I realized that was an underlying theme, and just like continuing to uncover what those old story thoughts were when it came to men and me getting who I wanted. Like I felt like it was always this where I felt like I had to fight for love, right? Like some guy had to prove that I was the one and all that type of stuff. So I decided, no, like I am the woman that men immediately meet, want to commit to, be with, marry, all these things. So I say all that to say, when we broke up the first time, it was a blessing because it allowed me to dive so deep into law of assumption, really uncover what those old story thoughts and beliefs were that I was carrying, not only for my SP, but for myself that attracted that version of him. So I started with forgiveness of myself for manifesting that version of him. I forgave him for showing up as that version, as only he can, reflecting me and my old thoughts. And then I just would do affirmations so before, when I first was getting into law of assumption, I would think about her, but I would be like, oh, she annoys him. Like anytime he is with her, it makes him realize that he wants me even more. And keep in mind, him and I were in no contact for months, but I still was like, no, he's thinking of me. He's dreaming about me. Like he mistakenly like says my name when he's talking, like he's obsessed with like all of these types of affirmations. When he's around her, she annoys him, all these things. But then I realized, like, that's still giving her too much power in my world. Like, I'm thinking about her too much, even with those types of thoughts. I was like, no, anytime I thought about her, I would just say she doesn't exist in my reality or in my SP's life. And that just allowed me to like just quickly move her off my radar, or I would picture her becoming like miniature and just like poofing, So my point is I would do my best to get her off my mind quickly. And so when he reached back out again, and I'll do another more detailed video about what I did to get him back. But when he did eventually reach back out, when we would spend time together or he would call or whatever have you, I just assumed that she was out of the picture, right? That I was the only woman in his life, the only one he wanted, And when I would be at his house, like, I would not go like searching if her things were there, or because when we broke up, I had taken all my stuff out of his house. So I wouldn't like go looking for anything in the 3D. And one day I was over there and I noticed like one of the drawers was open where I used to keep my stuff. And she had another drawer. That drawer was open and it was empty. And I was like, oh my God, right? So I was like, wow, she's really like out of the picture. Like I really removed the 3P through those affirmations. Like anytime she popped in my head, I was just like, nope, no one like that exists in my reality or in his life. Nope, no one exists in my reality like that or in his life. Like just doing those affirmations. And then, but I never asked about her, right? Never like here and there, he may say something and bring her up. Or like if I was around him and he was on the phone with a family member, they may mention her, how's she doing, whatever. He'd be like, oh, we broke up. And I just would act like I didn't hear anything. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, hell yeah, you broke up, right? Because she was just a figment of my imagination, reflecting that I had to fight for love and, men cheat and men want multiple women and, all those old story thoughts that I had. So really, I don't want this video to be too long, but I'll tell you this. So he told me like a few months after we got back together that he had broken up with her. And again, I didn't go too deep into details because, again, in my reality, she doesn't even exist, right? This is my reality. She does not exist in my reality. But when he said that, like, I guess his sister was having a college family weekend or something like that. And he was going up there, his parents, his other siblings. And I guess his little sister invited the 3P, but keep in mind, he's not talking to her, right? So I had been at his house earlier that day, helping him pack and get everything together. And then he called me a few hours before his flight. And he was like, guess what? Like, my brother just called me and said that she's there. And he was livid. So he called me and he was like, don't take it anyway. But I just, like, you're the only person that, I thought to call because I just need to help, like, to calm down. So in that moment, I was like, of course, because I'm thinking in my head, of course you came to me with this, even though in other, like me, before law of assumption, I may have been triggered for the wrong things, but I chose to focus on the fact, like, yeah, you called me because I'm your best friend, like, I'm your favorite person, right? So he ended up canceling the flight. And so, yeah, I removed her out.